Ooh, hey. Doing the live thing. So we're gonna do double live. Got me in here, got me there. Ooh, 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 ooh. Let's see. Dude. Hello, everybody on Facebook and YouTube. What's going on? We're live now. It took I had the YouTube one up for a couple of minutes because it's not my first time doing YouTube live, but it's my first time doing it somewhat earnestly. So, the light's weird. But anyway, so welcome to the live broadcast because why not? Because I want to geek out a little bit. So yesterday, everybody was tuning in. Excuse me. Everybody was tuning in to Apple. They were broadcasting their new products as they do every year. Is it twice a year now or something like that? I don't know. It's at least once a year they do it. Announcing the new phones, announcing the new watches, that sort of thing. And I gotta say, not excited about the 10. I'm not excited about the iPhone 10. I'm just not. It's cool. Like, it's neat. I'm my inner sci-fi nerd is satisfied with the no home button thing and the wireless charging thing and the better, graphics or whatever, the new filters for the camera and the new camera setup and that sort of thing. I nerded out about it a little bit once when I was watching it, when it was announced. But, even at the moment that I got excited for it, I knew that I wasn't in any way prepared, emotionally anyway, to spend $1,000 on it. Just not. I mean, here's the consideration I have. So, right now I have a 6S. It works really well. Does all the things that I wanted to do, that sort of thing. No glitches or anything like that. No app crashing. Nothing going on there. Nothing weird. But I really like the 7 Plus. My wife has a 7 Plus. She's had it for a few months now. I've gotten to use it a bit, and it looks gorgeous. It performs amazing. The camera, that portrait mode stuff is just awesome. But I don't know. I am perfectly comfortable with just upgrading to a 7 Plus and using that until it dies. Seriously, it's just... The 8 and the 8 Plus are clearly just the 7 and the 7 Plus with a better chip in it and a slightly better camera. That's all that is. And that's an extra $200, right? And then you've got the X, which has all of its magical capabilities, which is $1,000. And actually, if you get the one with the most memory space on it, it's actually closer to $1,200. It's like I was just saying, I nerded out. Like, I felt really satisfied with my nerd cravings and my tech cravings. I was satisfied that it has these awesome features and stuff like that, but I'm never gonna buy that phone. Nah, it's just not gonna happen. Um, so the thing that I am very excited about, excuse me, I had bronchitis last week, so I apologize. So the thing that I am actually excited about is one of the first things that they introduced. Was it the very first thing? I don't think it was the very first thing. But one of the first things that they introduced was the Series 3 watch. I have my Series 1 right here. You can see it YouTube. You can see it Facebook. I have my Series 1. I love it. It's one of the most handy things. Get it? It's one of the most handy things ever. Being at work, and I work at a job where I'm using my hands all the time, going in and out of my pocket to try and use my phone. It gets the inside of my pocket dirty, it gets my phone nasty, that sort of thing. I'm just, it can be a pain in the ass sometimes, right? So, having the watch where I can control the music in my headphones, make a call, read a text message, answer a text message, that sort of thing, it's really, really handy. I love it. So, the fact that the Series 3 is going to be enabled with the cellular, that's awesome. Like, I'm very happy that I'm going to be able to just put my watch on and leave the house. Like, if I forget my phone, or especially if I'm working out. I've started working out, at least more than usual anyway, at the local gym, and I don't like having the bulky stuff in my pockets. I don't like being on the rowing machine and having my phone either in the locker where my watch doesn't get the service, so I can't listen to the music, or sitting on the floor where somebody could step on it, or in my pocket where it could fall out and then somebody step on it, or I step on it, or some shit like that. Being able to be separated from the phone, but still be able to make a call or receive a call if there's an emergency or something like that, still do the text messaging and all that jazz, and it will also be data enabled, so you can listen to music and stuff like that. It's awesome. It's great. I feel like it's a pretty strong step forward as far as the tech industry in general. Being able to enable cellular on that, it's kind of a no-brainer, especially from a standpoint of, okay, so you did the Series 1, that was cool, you did the Series 2, it's a little bit better, and it's a little more waterproof, that sort of thing, that's cool. So it's kind of a natural progression to be able to use it independently from the phone. And I think, I'm call me crazy, it's whatever. I think it's a huge step forward to be able to just have a device on your wrist. Not even have the phone. Just the device on your wrist. It would probably, like, in 5 years, it would probably be, like, the size of this, which is a 6S, or, like, the size of an iPhone 4 or something like that. Just bang, right on your wrist. You have everything there that you could possibly need. You can search the web, that sort of stuff. Make calls and all that jazz. So that I'm really excited for. The Series 3 watch looks like it's going to be absolutely dope, or it is already. No new things about the iPad, I noticed. At least I didn't notice anything. I know the iPad Pro just came out a year ago, I think. Has it been a year already? Or a couple of months or something like that? Anyway, the iPad Pro is out already, and, everybody already knows there's amazing things going on there. And the new iOS comes out towards the end of September, I think, the 22nd, I think. I don't know. But yeah, so the new iOS, when it rolls out, there's going to be a lot more capabilities and stuff like that for the iPad Pro, because the chip inside it is just awesome. Every time they come out with something new, even though it may not look very different, And even though the apps and the programs and stuff like that may not be very different, they are usually leaps and bounds ahead of everything else. Like, I'll give you, for instance, I've had my iPad for 3 years now, I think. 2 years, 3 years, something like that. It's an iPad Air, I think. An Air 1. It's not even an Air 2, it's an Air 1. And update after update, I've been able to do most of the things that even the iPad Pro can do. I can't do the drawing programs or anything like that. Obviously, the camera's better on the Pro, and watching videos and streaming things in general is going to be better on the Pro. But a good 85 to 90% of the things that I can do on this iPad, which I'm using right now to go live on YouTube, 90% of the things that you can do on the iPad Pro, I can still do on this because the chip inside it from 5 years ago or whatever, 4 years ago, can still handle all of that. It still has the power to handle the OS that it's being given. It's great. That's awesome. It's one of the reasons why I'm a huge Apple fan. Can't help it. Sorry. I should say real quick. You can't see it on Facebook because the microphone's in the way, but you can see it on YouTube. I'm wearing my Flipboard shirt today. I like Flipboard very much. I don't use it that often, but I like it and I like the company and that sort of thing. So they're not a sponsor. I just like them. What else? What else we got going on? So, yeah, all in all, the new Apple stuff is really cool. I think, the 8 and the 8 Plus being an expanded version or just a generally better version than the 7 and the 7 Plus is cool. It makes sense to do that kind of upgrade and stuff like that. The iPhone X or 10 or whatever you want to call it, it's cool. It's really, really cool. It gets me right in the nerd feels, but I don't think it's worth $1,200 to have that phone. I really don't. Anyhoozle, let's move on to some other stuff. Comic books. I've been getting a bit back into comic books lately, and oh hey mom, my mom's on Facebook. Sounds good. Thank you. So excuse me. So I've been getting back into comic books lately, going to my local comic book shop, that sort of thing. Picking up some generally new series. Actually, I have to go get. It's Wednesday. It's new comic book day. I actually have to go. Anyway, I have to drop by the mall later. But yeah, I've been stopping by the comic book shop and stuff like that. A couple of new series that I like. I do like the new Iceman series, although I'm not crazy about it. It's not 100% what I would want. I don't know. There's just... It feels like there's something missing about the quintessential Bobby Drake character. I don't know. I just feel like there's something missing. So I did the first 3 issues of that, which were pretty good. I haven't gotten any since because I don't know, I'm just not really feeling it. But I have continued, is why I gotta go over to the mall at some point, back to the comic book shop. I have been reading Black Bolt standalone series. And I remember I saw that the Inhumans television series is coming out. They did the pre-release thing. They had it out in movie theaters or something like that, and it bombed. It did terrible in movie theaters. I just don't think that... I get... It's a cool idea to preview TV shows at a movie theater. I think that's really neat. And it's a Marvel character universe thing, which is really cool. And there's a lot of excitement behind the Marvel universe and stuff like that right now. but I don't think that this was the Marvel title that was going to break that barrier between television and the movie theater. I just don't. A lot of people don't really know it, and I'm not even sure that the fan base likes it enough. Like, they like it, they love it. Black Bolt is an awesome character, and the whole Inhumans thing is really neat. It's been going for a while now, but you know, I'm definitely interested in the TV show. I don't think it was a smart idea to do it in the theater. So, one of these days, when Marvel decides to hire me, I will make those decisions. It is New Comic Book Day. What do you think of the new Eagles kicker? I actually don't know. I have no idea who the new Eagles kicker is. I haven't seen that. I gotta look it up now. As I know, the guy we had, twisted something, tore up his leg a little bit, something like that. Let's see. Pulling up Bleeding Green news. I was sad to hear about John Duranbos. Let's see. I'm looking at Bleeding Green Nation. Shout out. Try and find out who the new Jake Elliott from the Bengals. Let's see. Something like that. Hasn't been at practice yet that I know of. Yeah, I don't know. It says Sturgis, Caleb Sturgis, the usual guy, suffered a hip injury during Eagles' Week 1 win against the Washington Redskins. The recovery is expected to be at least 4 weeks. The new kicker, he's a rookie, selected by the Bengals in the 5th round of this previous draft, the 2017 draft. The 22-year-old rookie struggled this offseason, it says. Let's see. He was the first kicker drafted. The Bengals are also very keen on keeping their draft picks as rookies, giving them ample time to showcase their full potential. So it seems like of the available... It seems like one of those situations where of the available kickers, this guy was probably the healthiest and, the most willing to move or be moved. That sort of thing. It seems like a cheap patch. You know what I mean? But, we'll see how it goes. If it keeps going the way that it was going in the Redskins game, then he's just going to be doing field goals, really. The opening kickoff, there's a bit of strategy to that. There's a bit of strategy to where you want the ball placed, where you want the guy to catch the ball to be able to start running. But, I don't think that really factors into a Doug Peterson offense, because as much as it would be nice to get a certain positioning because of the opening kickoff or because of the kickoff in general, it really comes down to the offensive line and all that jazz is more important, clearly. So we'll see how it goes. Obviously, he's a temporary fix, and the injury for Sturgis may be 4 weeks, but it may end up being, excuse me, it may only end up being like 2 or 3 weeks. Concerns about going up against Kansas City. They came off of a really, really strong game against the Patriots, Kansas City. And, I thought 3 years ago that Alex Smith was going to end up being, right up there with how everybody feels about Tom Brady and how everybody feels about, Ben Roethlisberger and Joe Flacco and all the people who are considered elites. I always saw the potential for him to be that way, right? But we never got to see that in San Francisco, and now that he's with Andy Reid, obviously it's coming into fruition. And I think that's why, if I remember correctly from this previous draft and the draft before that, and some moves that they've made, they've really been focusing on building the team around him and his skills. Like, bulking up the offensive line, giving him better receivers to throw to, that sort of thing. They're just building the offense around Alex, and I think he's doing an amazing job. He did a great job last year. I think he's going to be stepping it up this year. I think there's always the potential for him to take Kansas City to a Super Bowl, but you never know with how injuries happen and stuff like that. And, he may end up in the same position as like a Randall Cunningham or someone like that, where they are one of the greatest players to have ever played football. They just never won a Super Bowl. That's just kind of how it goes sometimes. Hey, Bill. What's going on, buddy? Excuse me. Still getting over the cough. So we've talked a bit about football. Thanks to my mother. Hi, Mom. I love you. We talked a little bit about Apple Gear. We talked a little bit about comic books. I'm reading Black Bolt. And it's new comic book day, so I got to get out to the comic book store soon. What else is going on? Oh, I just want to bring something up. And I know I'm just kind of talking to myself, except for Bill. Hey, Bill. And my mom. Hey. So, our toaster died the other night, as my lovely wife was preparing breakfast for the little one for the next day. I love you too, Mom. I love this. So I was inclined to go get a new one, obviously, because the one that we had was broken. So we went out to Walmart, we got a new one, and something puzzled me a little bit when we brought the new one home. It's exactly the same brand, and it's exactly the same style toaster and all that jazz. It's just a toaster. It's a 2-slot. You push the thing down, and you can adjust the doneness. There's the bagel setting, which nobody uses. But anyway, I open the toaster. It's basically exactly the same toaster as the one that we had before. And I take the toaster out of the box, and in the box, there are instructions. Now, we make a lot of jokes on the internet and stuff like that about how generally dumb people can be. And not necessarily in a negative way. Not saying in a negative way, oh, you're dumb. Nothing like that. No. It's just some people are more intellectually advanced than others. But you would think that a toaster is simple enough for everybody to understand. Why do we need instructions for the toaster? I don't know. I think it's one of those things that, okay, maybe the FDA requires you to put instructions in so that you don't burn yourself or some stuff like that. Yeah, my mom says, does it say not to put pointed metal objects into the slots? Yeah, that's basically what it says. Don't stick anything metal into the slots. Don't get it wet while it's plugged in. It's just a whole list, 2 pages of just no-duh stuff. Just basic things that you should have learned, like, when you were a child. That sort of thing. So, yeah. Apparently, there are still some people out there who need help figuring out their new toasters. I did not know that. But, you know, it is what it is. Although I was... Look, I'll be honest. I was thinking about this for way longer than humanly necessary last night. Yeah, could be a legal protection. Sure, yeah. I think, or I was thinking last night when I was spending too much time thinking about it, that there must be like some contractual obligation or something like that between the printing company and companies that make basic electronics. It's got to be something, you know, between them. Like, you know, you give us this deal, we'll give you that deal, that sort of thing. Yeah, due diligence. Yeah, maybe, yeah. I don't know. But it did bring up a thought that Chris and I, my wife, have been talking about, which is doing some sort of like making like an online course or something like that, just about the basics of life, that sort of thing. Just helping people who just don't quite get it. Like, you know, yeah, just basic things. How to not burn yourself on a toaster, I guess. I don't know. It just seems like there is a lot more people these days who just do dumb shit that they should have known a long time ago. Let's see. Bill, it's all about covering their butts like the coffee is hot warnings at McDonald's. Yeah. Yeah, and that... I love the warning this coffee is hot thing. Because not only is McDonald's coffee hot, it could boil the sun. It's so hot. You know. It is what it is. So, I am going to put some human clothes back on, which is a favorite phrase of my mother, and go back out into the world and pick up a comic book or two. And, yeah. Thanks for hanging out on YouTube. Thanks for hanging out on Facebook. You'll be able to watch these back later on their individual things. Thanks, Bon, for the questions. Thanks, Bill, for hanging out for a couple of minutes. And we'll talk about that bathroom stuff soon. Yeah, and we'll hang out because we have to. Because it has to happen. I need friends, okay? So, all right, so everybody have a good rest of your day. Have a great afternoon, and I will see you next time.